Hi everyone, welcome to Star Science with Swati. I'm Swati Kameshwar, and in this week's video, we're going to be talking about a couple of key transits like the Venus-Mars conjunct Pluto, as well as the Pisces new moon, and how they are inviting us to use our life force in a conscious and intentional way. So let's get started. So let's do a quick recap from the last week and the last few weeks actually. And last week we had a very rare Tuesday, that is the 22nd of February, 2022. And numerologically, it was a very key day. And I wonder how you experienced your week. There was just so much happening in the external world in the last week. And I felt like we were seeing both these polarities, pretty much every flavor in duality was coming up. Like the depth of emotions, maybe a lot of the shadow of Scorpio showing up externally. But I know I felt a lot of grief, collective grief. There was a lot of strong feelings of sorrow and sadness. But also, maybe you felt the expansiveness of the divine cosmic mother. That's the highest essence of Pisces. And I was feeling that as well. Just all of these emotions coming up all at the same time. And the intense few weeks that we've been seeing, it speaks to the energies. And I've talked about the shadow of Scorpio and the shadow of Pisces that is so prevalent these days in the news. And we can see how much there is dissolving of realities, dissolving of so many things, and a lot of awakening energies as well. So it can be pretty intense these days. And our inner work this year is learning to stay present through no matter what comes up in the external world. And the more we are able to stay present, stay in our hearts, the more we'll be able to handle these energies and all the events as gracefully as possible. So if emotions are coming up for you, keep them moving, but stay focused on amplifying the good and stay focused on amplifying heart-related activities and hold compassion in your hearts. So before we get started, let's set our intention for this new month as well as for this week. And I invite you to pause and take a deep breath and revisit your intention from the previous few months. What was your intention for this year? Is it still the same? Do you find yourself changed by the energies and the events of this year so far? And just pause in and notice what's coming up for you right now. How have things changed for you? How have you changed? And what seems important for you in your life and your highest path in this moment? And visualize the sun coming up in front of you. And imagine a similar sun rising in your own heart. The sun is in Pisces right now. And by connecting to the sun within and the external sun, we can invite the highest essence of Pisces. And the highest essence of Pisces is this beautiful heart space energy, this beautiful space of being in compassion and kindness, and the world reflecting that. And so allow yourself to feel that energy of peace in your heart right now. And intentionally invite the highest essence of Pisces into your life, into the collective. This is going to be a very important month for amplifying all things Pisces, but the highest essence of it and not the shadow. And from this space of deep compassion for yourself and deep peace for yourself and for the collective, set your intention for this video and for this month. Okay, so today the theme for this week and for the next few weeks is the right use of life force energy. And because we also have the Pisces new moon, it's about visioning a unified future, visioning a future for humanity that constantly keeps improving and keeps exhibiting the highest essence of unity consciousness. So this is a quick snapshot of the transits for the upcoming week. And February 27th, yesterday on Sunday, we had Venus conjunct the moon at the third eye chakra point. So Venus is in the morning, is a morning star right now. You can see Venus in the sky, in the morning sky before sunrise. And yesterday she met with the moon, and this journey of Venus for the next 8 months is a morning star journey where if you follow Inanna's story of her descent, it's Venus's descent into the underworld. So she is releasing all the blocks in these areas. So with respect to the third eye chakra point this month, there is a focus on releasing all the blocks that we have to visioning the highest trajectory for ourselves as well as for humanity. So all the distortions that can come up with respect to our visioning abilities, our imagination, our ability to see what is the highest good for ourselves, those blocks will come up, and it's a really good time to work on clearing those blocks. This week particularly is a very important week because we have the Pisces new moon conjunct Jupiter on March 2nd, and on the same day we have Mercury conjunct Saturn. So as I have been talking about in the last few videos of mine, the Pisces energy is amplified, and it starts to really pick up speed this month ahead of April 12th, where Neptune and Jupiter meet. Then on March 3rd, we have Mars and Venus conjunct Pluto at 27 degrees, 50 minutes of Capricorn. And on March 6th, both these planets, Mars and Venus, they enter Aquarius and meet again. There's an exact conjunction on the 6th at 0 Aquarius. March 5th, we have Sun conjunct Jupiter. Again, it is amplifying that Pisces energy because the Sun is in Pisces right now. And March 13th, we have Sun conjunct Neptune. So you can see how much of this Pisces energy is important for us to understand how to utilize this Pisces energy, this visioning capacity of Pisces in the most effective way. And then March 18th, we have the Virgo full moon at 27 degrees, 40 minutes of Virgo. So a lot going on this week, and let's dive into it. Now, I just wanted to talk about these two transits today, March 2 and March 3, which is the Pisces new moon and the Venus-Mars conjunct Pluto. But I'm going to talk about Venus conjunct Mars, Venus and Mars conjunct Pluto first, because that energy feeds into the Pisces new moon. Even though it happens the day after the Pisces new moon, I feel it's very important to understand what Mars-Venus conjunct Pluto means so that you can utilize that highest essence of it. You can watch out for the shadow and utilize the highest essence of it for visioning for the Pisces new moon. So Venus-Mars conjunct Pluto, in my experience and in my viewpoint, is about the right use of your life force energy. Now, both of these are meeting at 27 degrees, 50 minutes of Capricorn and 2751. One meets at 2750, one meets at 2751 of Capricorn, so they're so close together. But notice if you have anything going on at this degree in Capricorn, or even opposite in Cancer, or squaring Aries and Libra, because this is an important transit for you. But it's generally important for the collective too, because soon after that, they move into Aquarius together, and they activate the 0 degrees of Aquarius, which was first activated by Jupiter and Saturn back on the December solstice of 2020. So there are these themes, these transits always happen one after the other, and they build on the previous one. So notice what's coming up for you around this time. And remember, it's all linked to this right use of life force. And this is really an invitation to go within to find answers. And this is what I mean by that. You might hear a lot in the the conventional view of Mars conjunct Pluto can imply aggression. And we all know what's going on in the world where it comes to aggression. But it's my, the way I look at it is that if we don't look at what's going on within, then looking externally to fix things is not going to help. So I invite you with this transit to take a look at what's going on within in your own personal life, rather than trying to justify what's happening in the external world as a result of these transits. And because this concerns Pluto, Pluto is all about deep transformation. It's about permanent transformation, permanent facing of the shadow to become empowered. That is the highest essence of Pluto. And this transit can make us feel like we are in this extended winter, like we are going into the deep, dark spaces. And it can feel very cold. And you're probably feeling that in your own life, physically as well. It just feels like we've been in this dark space for a long time. Pluto is all about exposing the truth. And when it comes to Venus and Mars, it's about exposing the truth of how we use our energy. The day before this, we have Mercury conjunct Saturn, and Mercury, Venus, and Mars, they are all three of them are personal planets. So it's about how you use your mental energy, your emotional energy, and your physical energy. So it's all about this really incredible resource, an important resource that you have. That is your life force energy. So when Venus and Mars conjunct Pluto, it's about transformation. It's about the truth of how we are utilizing this energy. And whatever is personal, you're going to see that reflected in the collective also, because there is unity in every single thing is connected. So we are all really connected at some level. And what you put in is what you get out. So our internal state will be collectively reflected in the external. And so we cannot have outer peace without that inner peace. And this is a very important transit for us to get familiar with how we are utilizing this Venus energy, this Mars energy, as well as Mercury. And Venus refers to our soul desires, our heart's desires, not ego-based desires. In fact, we might see a lot of the shadow of ego-based desires, of our attachment to those coming up. Mars represents how we put into action, how we go after those desires, the structures and the habits and the routines that we create to satisfy those desires. Now, again, with Mars, it can be a healthy structure or it can be an aggressive structure. So both of these aspects, Venus and Mars, and how they show up in our own life, that's coming up for review. Now, the day before this, we have Mercury conjunct Saturn. And Mercury represents our mental realm, how we perceive the world, how we cognize, and how we express. And just what is our thought process like, our thoughts and our belief systems. And Saturn is about being sovereign. So this is inspiring us to have sovereign ownership of our mental realm. How are we using our thoughts? How are we utilizing words? And how do we take in thoughts and ideas? Do we just do we actually have an intentional use of those ideas, or do we just parrot out what we hear? Or maybe just take what we see in the external to be true without applying our own sovereign ownership to it. So this transit, Mercury conjunct Saturn and Venus Mars conjunct Pluto, is about how you use your life force energy. That is your creation energy, how you think, how you feel, and how you act. Because we think, and then we feel, and then we act based on how we feel. And then that goes back, our experience goes back to feed our thoughts. So that's how we create our life. And this transit is really a big invitation to start to clean up how we create our life, to start to really purify that whole process for ourselves. So in the next couple of weeks, notice where is your awareness and your attention going? What are your values? Are your values getting more and more clear? And are your actions supporting those values? Because if we don't act on how we want to feel, the highest essence of how we want to feel, then that's not going to get us too far. And then notice if you're fueling fear consciousness through your attention, through where your focus goes, through your speech, through your actions, or are you actively raising the peace and the love quotient on the planet? And if not, then ask yourself, what will it take to change? There's no judgment here, right? This is just an evaluation of where we are in our life right now. And these transit points, they can highlight areas to us which can be very useful for us to keep aligning to the highest path. So then this transit is about transforming, that is Pluto, how we create, which is the union of Venus and Mars, our life. So Venus and Mars, the feminine and the masculine, the union of that results in a creation. And so Venus Mars conjunct Pluto is transforming how we create our life. Now, this feeds into the Pisces new moon that happens the day before this transit. And it's really important to vision a future that applies the highest essence of our creation energy. So this Pisces new moon has the moon and the sun at 12 degrees, 7 minutes of Pisces. It's conjunct Jupiter, which is at 14 degrees of Pisces, and it's sextile Uranus. So it's a pretty powerful new moon in that Pisces energy gets amplified because Jupiter is right there next to it. But because it is sextile Uranus, there is an opportunity to break old patterns in a gentle way without it being chaotic. Mercury conjunct Saturn on the same day implies that your whatever ideas you come up with, the vision that you come up with, that you can also come up with the steps, the practical steps, the structure you will need to dream that vision into being. So what are the steps that you would take to ensure that that vision becomes a reality? Mercury conjunct Saturn can allow us to come up with a solid plan for it. And then, of course, the next day we have Mars, Venus, Pluto conjunction, which means that we want to take into consideration how we normally create our life and transform that so that it's empowering. And one of the really most, I feel like the biggest essence qualities of Pisces, which I don't hear a lot of people talking about, is that it has a capacity to dream a vision into being. I feel like that's one of the highest, like the biggest superpowers of Pisces. You know, Pisces is known as, oh, the dreamer and all of that, but that's because it has the ability to hold a vision in its heart and dream that into being. That means holding that heart energy, the energy, or the feeling of that vision being created, of that vision existing in reality, and what would it feel if that were true? It can hold space for that vision in such a strong way that reality starts to align itself according to that vision. So we want to take advantage of that, and we don't want to waste this energy because Jupiter is right there. So whatever we focus on is getting amplified. So one of the easiest ways to do this is to dream and feel the highest path for humanity, to actually vision that, to feel that in your heart, to feel that in your whole being. And the more people that do this collective heart-based effort really adds up. I usually talk about the essence and the shadow qualities of the new moon or the full moons, but I've talked about that enough in the previous star signs. So please refer to that for the essence and shadow of Pisces. But I feel like this is the biggest thing that we want to remember, that this is the week to dream a vision. And you could do that by writing, by journaling, by doing creative activities, and having an intention as you're creating that it is for the highest path, the highest trajectory, the highest possible outcome that is heart-based. So coming to the practices for March, what do we want to focus on? I feel like emotional inner work, that is something that we want to continue to keep doing because this water energy with Pisces and the South Node in Scorpio is constantly going to bring up our triggers. And with whatever that's going on in the external world, it can bring up so many of our latent, hidden patterns that commitment to constantly doing this emotional inner work will really help. Because remember that, you know, with Pisces, we want to be in the heart. We want to be able to vision the highest quality, the highest possible outcome. And most of the time that will be something related to love, right? Like it'll be related to love and peace and joy. And it's very hard to hold those emotions if we are also holding an emotion of fear or anger or judgment or guilt or whatever it is. And that's why the commitment to continuously doing emotional inner work is going to be important, because the clearer our emotions are, the clearer our outcome seems, the clearer our action seems. And the more current that our emotions are, that means we are not carrying emotional baggage from the past and stuff from the external is not constantly bringing things up for us, the more current it is, the more we can hold feelings of hope for the future and feelings of a positive outcome. And that feeling then results in the highest quality actions. And that's why it's key to keep doing this emotional inner work. And I just also wanted to offer another resource here. You heard me talk about the tappingsolution.com often. That's how I learned tapping. They are having their annual summit, which is free to attend. It's an online summit, and that's going on this week. So if you go to the tappingsolution.com, there should be a link there for you to sign up for the summit, and there you see lots of experts on tapping talking about its uses, the science behind it, and all of that, and free tapping meditation. So it's a beautiful summit. If you've never heard of tapping, I highly recommend this to check it out. Then another practice for March, and actually the entire year, is going to be all sorts of things related to opening the heart. Things like creativity, being in nature, Kundalini yoga kriyas for heart, opening the heart, practicing compassion, kindness every moment you get. Maybe make a game out of it. See how many times you can be kind to yourself every single day, or to somebody else every single day, and so on. So if you have other practices for opening the heart, please share them in the comments so that others can see it as well. And then finally, commitment to being intentional about directing your life force energy. That is your thoughts, your emotions and actions, being very intentional with that, with love. If we fall off the wagon, we don't want to be judging ourselves, because that again is not utilizing our life force energy in the highest way, but just with intention and with love. And intending the highest path for you and all concerned every single day. So this month your intentions really get amplified this month, because not only is there Pisces, because your feeling state, whenever the sun is in a water sign, our feeling state gets amplified. So the sun being in Pisces, what you feel gets amplified. And of course, Jupiter is there right now. So it's kind of like double amplification, or even more than that. But it's amplifying what you feel. So if you feel joy, that gets amplified. If you feel sorrow, that's also getting amplified, even if it's unconscious. So we want to be very intentional with how we direct our life force energy. And that brings us to the end of this video for this week. I'm wishing you an absolutely empowering week and month as you go ahead. And I'll see you back next week. Bye.